everybody. This is Keith.
And I'm Carol Jones.
And this is Love Jones. And we just come on to talk about all kind of stuff.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
We talk about marriage. We talk about relationships. We talk about victories.
Defeats.
Arguments.
Ups.
Disagreements.
Downs.
The
roller coaster.
Yeah. The cycles.
The love.
Family.
Yeah.
Blended family.
Yeah. Finances. Everything.
Trust, communication. We talk about everything. So that's what we do, right?
That's what we do.
Yeah. So, listen, as before we go into our podcast, okay, my wife just wants to have a moment to encourage some of you that are going through.
So, before we get started, I just want to encourage everyone out there because we all are affected by the COVID-19 virus.
Yeah.
Our country is in perilous times. We are really pretty much upside down as a nation. And so I just want to encourage you to keep the faith and to stand strong because it's a lot out here to be fearful of. It's an uncertain time in our culture, it's an uncertain time in our country, and we just don't know what to do. But I just want you to hold on and be courageous because even my husband was affected by the virus today on his job. And so there's a lot of people that are out of work. There's a lot of people being laid off.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that aren't working. Some, praise be to God, they're working from home with pay. Some are not. There are people that are fearful. There are mothers out there that are worrying how they're going to feed their children, especially being home from school every single day for the next 30, 45 days, however long, the children are going to be out of school. So just hold on, trust God. Listen, if you put God in front of the virus, God is bigger than any virus. God is bigger than any obstacle. God is bigger than a job. He's bigger than the financial picture. God can do anything. So hold on. And to speak to our couples out there, since this is Love Jones, be sure to hold on to each other just a little tighter tonight because we don't know what the other is going through. And we can sit and talk all day as husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, mother, daughter, father, son, whatever your relationship is. You can sit and you can talk and you're talking from your heart, but you also lay down with that heaviness on you. And so I just want to make sure that you're taking care of each other. Take care of each other, not just verbally, but take care of each other mentally and physically and spiritually by praying and holding each other up.
That was great, babe. That was great. When I came home today, just being real, can we just being real? Just what we do. Came home today, the effects was money ain't right at the job, and so they laid half of our workforce off and had to come home and call the wife and told her what was going on and everything, and it was a little discouraging, but I believe that when you have faith in your relationship, it will definitely allow you to overcome every obstacle in every situation. And so as we're believing for you all, keep us in prayer too. So amen.
He said amen, y'all. He said amen.
So listen, our topic tonight is what is it again?
Oh my goodness, he can't remember the topic. Forgive it. Charge it to his head, not to his heart. He's had a rough day. But our topic today is going to be the whispers before the screams.
Mm-hmm.
You have to hear the whisper before the scream.
That's true. And so I think with that, babe, just my part as a man, I can speak from it a little bit.
Okay.
There are times that, when we talk and dialogue and whatnot, I think that sometimes the whispers are not heard.
Mm-hmm.
They're overlooked, overshadowed because of the topic.
Okay, that's good.
Because the topic becomes so huge, that, okay, here's the issue, here's the problem, but then here's the whisper. The whisper is the emotion in it. The whisper is, okay, this is how I'm feeling about it, and a lot of times as a man, we don't communicate our whispers sometimes. We expect, and men, we got to be honest, we expect for our wives to kind of pick it up a little bit in our mannerisms. We come home mad, we come home angry, but not communicating. And a lot of times, would you say that sometimes when we do those things, when we're acting out or whatever, do you think that's a whisper?
That could be a whisper
Could that be a
that
whisper?
you don't say. Now, for women, I can't speak for the men, but for women, our whispers are if we're asking you to get your socks up off the floor, if we're asking you to just help around the house a little more, if we're asking you to pay some attention to us, or as we were talking about earlier, if we're involved in something and we want our husbands to come and support us, and so work and everything else gets in the way. And he has every intention to come and support, but something happens where he can't. So a lot of times we feel that you made a choice to do that thing over there as opposed to coming and being supportive to us. And so as time goes on, our whisper was, babe, would you come and support me? That's the whisper. Or, babe, could you just help me around the house? I'm a little tired. I worked all day. I had to come home, cook dinner. The kids needed to do this. They had homework. I had to go take them to sports or whatever. That's a whisper. And then it turns into the screams when the men never do it. And I don't want to say just men. We're guilty of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I think that's what I was saying, that I think a lot of times we make the issue bigger than the person, and them not realizing that their whisper is important.
It's very important.
You know, them feeling what they feel, having an opinion.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when, you know, there's disagreements or arguments, or even not even argument, just a matter of opinion. You know, if you know, because you and I've done it. You know, there's times where you'll come with your opinion, I'll come with my opinion,
Yeah.
and my opinion is my whisper. I'm trying to tell you, okay, babe, this is how I
This is
feel
what you
about
need,
it.
yeah.
And then you was like, well, no, this is what I'm saying. And then we go back and forth.
Say it like that?
Well, no, you don't say it like exactly like that. But you know, we do overshadow each other sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the whisper, but then it turns to a scream, because if we keep having, like you said, the whisper over
The same dialogue.
and the same dialogue and the same dialogue,
And nothing's changing.
and
Yes.
the dialogue is not changing, and nobody's acknowledging. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, nobody's acknowledging the whisper.
But I think also the biggest thing is, he said the dialogue isn't changing, but I think if the behavior isn't changing, then that's when a huge problem. That's when the scream begins to manifest, is when behaviors aren't changing.
Okay, so when you say behaviors, are you talking about like just changing the ability to communicate, the changing the ability to hear?
I think it's changing the ability to hear, because if I'm saying I need help around the house, then change the behavior and help around the house. Help around the house where it's, I don't want to say so much noticeable, but it shows that you're thinking about me or you heard what I said. It goes back a little bit to one of your whispers has always been, do not bring a problem to me over and over and over if you have no resolve.
Right, without a resolve.
Yes, because we have to resolve it. And so in saying that to me over the years, then when I come to you with a problem, I also have a resolve. And then when we talk about it, we decide together if the resolve will work for both of us.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So I
Okay.
didn't want to have the same argument over and over.
Okay, I can see that.
That's what I'm saying. So the
Okay,
behavior
I
has
can
to
see that.
change. Or if you tell me, and I've said this for years, that when we first got married, and how, you know, I'm a plain Jane when it comes to my food. I don't like a lot of fancy food. I'm not. And when I say fancy, I don't like food that's complicated.
But you're a good cook though. And there's been a lot
thank
of things, babe. Come on now.
Thank
I mean,
you.
there's been a lot of dishes that that you have challenged yourself to cook.
For you.
Oh, bless the Lord.
For you. So, but what I'm saying is, he likes cheese in his eggs, and so in liking cheese in his eggs, I heard him say that. Now I kept making regular scrambled eggs because that's what I liked. So because he likes eggs, I like eggs. My compromise was just make the darn scrambled eggs that you like. Since he likes eggs anyway, he's going to eat them. What's he going to do? But then the more he would say to me, I really like cheese in my eggs. One day, could you just put some cheese in my eggs? And so for a long time, and this was years ago when we first got married, I would always make a separate skillet. I would make him scrambled eggs with the cheese, and then I'd have my own. Right. But that was my behavior changing, hearing your scream. I mean, hearing your whisper before the scream happened. And so we have to understand that it may be this small in the beginning.
Yeah.
And because it seems, and let me say this too, and encourage everyone out there, just because it seems minuscule to you does not mean it's minuscule to your partner.
That's true. That's
right?
very true.
So
That's very
what
true.
seems so
Very
small to
true.
you because you have absolutely no comprehension or understanding of it does not mean that it does not affect them. Because if he's telling you that he needs your lap to lay in, that's huge for him.
That's a whisper.
And you have to hear
that's a
him
whisper.
say, babe, I just need a lap. So explain the lap.
So the lap, I'm hoping that I can explain this clearly. The lap is the place where the man can lay his head and be comfortable and be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe that a lot of men are not vulnerable because they don't have the lap. And so if you really think about it, that's a whisper.
Yeah.
And so what we do is it becomes a scream, but it becomes an internal scream. We're not screaming, like, we're not like, we're not out there like that, but the internal scream starts magnifying for us. And then eventually it's like the volcano. The nature of a volcano is it's erupting underneath. And all of a sudden, because of the pressure, it starts to come through, and now it volcanoes.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of us, we do that. We get it to that place that all of a sudden it's building, it's pressure, it's building, and all of a sudden, pop. We just pop. And then she's looking at like what the heck is going on? She's trying to figure out like, why are you going off? Because it's like what we were talking about. Remember the story about the onion? Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
We had an incident about several years ago. Okay, this was the same thing. Whisper. This was a whisper. I'm telling you.
We incorporated this. We call it "It's Not About the Onion."
It's not about the onion.
And we incorporated this into our classes that we teach for people that are getting married and that are engaged. And even when we counsel couples, we have incorporated "It's not about the onion."
It's not about that. Okay, let me tell the story. Okay, and then she can pick it
And
up.
I need to go back to the lap real quick.
Yeah, we got to go back to the lap. Okay, so check this out. So over, I think, of the course of the week, it was the beginning of the week, she had cooked something with a white onion. Okay, in our old refrigerator, anything that you put on the top shelf would freeze automatically. So our nature of how we handle cooking and cleaning, the person that cooks, one person would cook and another person would clean. Okay, so she cooked, I cleaned up, I put up all the food. Well, that was the beginning of the week. I put the onion on the top of the shelf. Okay, I put the onion there, y'all. I put it there. I put the onion on the top of the shelf. So that was like Monday or Tuesday. She goes to work. She worked that particular Saturday. She was coming home to cook. She opens the refrigerator to take the onion out, and the onion is on the top of the shelf, frozen.
Transparent looking.
I mean, like rock hard. I mean, drop it on the counter, and it's going. It's probably break the counter. So I'm sitting watching TV. She comes in and she went ballistic.
Yeah, I did. I'm ashamed.
About the onion.
I did.
And as soon as she got done, as soon as she finished, I said, babe, this ain't about the onion.
He did say that.
And she said, you're right. And then she began to tell me everything that was wrong. And so if you really think about it, that was a whisper.
Yeah. Well, no, that was a scream.
That was a scream.
That was a scream.
But it was a whisper at the beginning.
I started the whisper.
Yeah, you started the whisper, and then it finally came to a scream.
He was going to keep doing it his way, and it really was never about the onion. That just took me to the edge. That unleashed the scream. It unleashed the beast.
Ooh,
and
Lord,
I kind of snapped because there were things I had been asking him to do that he wasn't doing. His behavior hadn't changed. And so I had been thinking about it, pondering it, and then I got home. I worked a long shift. I get in the house. I'm trying to cook and take care of my family. And then my onion is frozen. I don't want to have to go get an onion. He offered to go get an onion, but at that point, it was a wrap.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
it wasn't
I think
bad.
I think you went off about the onion for about 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, I did
I
before
was
really
like,
before
and
you
I just
stepped in.
I just sit there and
Yeah.
let you go, and I was like, okay, okay,
I've
yeah,
grown since then, saints.
cool. So
So grown.
so I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure we can laugh about it now, but
Yeah.
it was not a funny moment at that moment. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I probably most of y'all probably had an onion story, and it probably was similar to what we
Yeah.
went through. Well, let's get back to the lap. Okay, so the thing of it is that when we're talking about the lap, okay, it is ladies is it's important. It's important as you being, that wife, that support, that helpmate, to allow him to have a moment of vulnerability, to have that moment that he could take off the Superman, and take off the S, and because he's worked all day, he's been trying to figure things out. He's been trying to figure out the bills. He's been trying to figure out how he's going to maneuver through certain projects of around the house and all these different things to keep, that the things that you all agreed to keep it to keep it going. And so I think a lot of times when that lap is not there, that's a whisper, because he's looking for you to be there for him. He's looking for you to say, okay, babe, what's wrong? He's looking for you to say, babe, let's talk about it. Or babe, come on, let's just have a moment where it's just me and you. It's not the kids. It's not a bill. It's not talking about this, talking about that. Let's talk about what's going on. Or a moment, check this out, a moment that he can have intimacy. And I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about a moment just like this, where you're on the couch, y'all snuggled up, y'all just talking, and he can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's important to us. And I think that ladies, if you do that with your man maybe once or twice a week, I'm telling you, it would change his life. So that lap is important, and that's a part that you can eliminate the whisper coming to the screen when the ladies can allow that lap to allow him. And I'm not talking about he laid all on you, nothing like that. I ain't talking about that. I'm just talking about where he can feel comfortable. Because he's been out fighting people and fighting situations and fighting this and fighting that in his job and everything else and all kind of crazy stuff that may be going on. And so it's important, okay? It's important that you hear the whisper. Yeah. Okay, it's important to hear the whisper. And one of the things that I can say that this has been an ongoing situation, because you all have to understand who my wife is. My wife she loves order. She likes to be clean. She likes to take care of things. She likes to do things on her own. She's very independent. So one of the whispers for me is, and you know it, and you know where I'm about to go, is when she does things without me. Like she's moved furniture and it's heavy. And then I'm coming home and then I'm like, babe, what's wrong? And she'll try to play it off like her back ain't hurting. And I'm like, babe, what's wrong? And then she had no other choice but to tell me the truth. She's like, well, I didn't move furniture, or I'll come and I'll see the whole thing rearranged. Yeah. And I'm like, babe, how many times have I told you? See, now it's coming from a whisper to a scream, because I don't want her hurting her back. She's already had back problems. You know what I'm saying? I don't want her to do those kind of things. Those are the manly things that we should be doing, to help her as the wife. As the Bible says, she does things in her house. She makes her house a home and different things like that. That's true. But I don't want her moving things. I don't want her to feel like she has to do it on her own. And that's been a whisper turning to a scream for me.
It has, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's probably many of you out there as you're listening to this, wives, hear your husbands. They're trying to protect you. They're trying to protect your body. They just want you to be okay. They don't want you moving furniture. They don't want you to moving this and that or whatever. And my son, he's right there with me. He's in agreement with me in Jesus' name. He's in agreement with me that a lot of times we just want to protect our wives. We want to protect our mothers. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that is important to us. And we just want our wives to hear us when we say certain things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want you to hear
just
me.
remember the lap. The lap is so important because that came from, I taught a lesson to some women a few years ago. And I was talking about how we are to be queens for our king, and how
Oh,
you know
yeah,
marriage is supposed to
that was a
be,
great lesson.
and how we have been so out of order with marriages because there's so many women that are overbearing and ruling, wearing the pants, and that is the man's position. That was what God gave Adam in the garden. And so as I spoke and I taught that, I went into Samson and Delilah and how Samson would go and put his head in her lap because she provided something that the world didn't give him. And so he was out there fighting all the time. And Samson was, you know, a strong man, and Samson had purpose, but Samson could not get past, you know, his flesh. And I think the worst part about it was Samson really just needed somebody to just go to that could understand him.
Yeah.
And he did not understand that it was a setup with her.
Of course.
So I wanted the women to understand that we have to provide that lap for our husbands. We have to provide that because he needs that peace. He said that earlier. He said, I'm fighting in the world all day. I come home and I don't want to fight at home. I don't want to walk into chaos. I am very intentional and strategic with our home being clean, dinner being ready. I set an entire atmosphere in our house. I like candles burning and a scent in the home. I like to have all that. I like to have his laundry done. And I work too, but I also want to make sure that he's okay because he works longer and harder than I do.
But,
and so,
but you know what? Let's not get it twisted though. There's got to be times that when there is an issue, we got to deal with it.
We have to.
Okay, we just can't stick it under the rug. Ladies,
Yeah.
hear me. We can't stick it under the rug because we want to create that atmosphere. There will be times, okay, that we have to deal with the whisper
that's right.
before it becomes a scream. Okay, so never think that because in our marriage there have been times that what she just said, she come home, I come home, dinner's cooked, or she'll ask me, hey, you're on your way, whatever, you know, that kind of a thing, candles lit, whatever. Okay, cool, that's great. But then there are times that we got to deal with the whisper.
Well, you didn't let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So what I'm saying is once you provide the lap, then he comes home, he comes into that atmosphere. So if you have an issue that you need to speak with him about, then you've already set the tone that you can have the conversation, and it will probably stay right here and it will not escalate. Vice versa. If you provide him the lap, then he feels like he can be vulnerable. And so whatever the issue or the problem is, you both can handle it together. You're handling it in the correct way. You're handling it in a godly way. And there's not a bunch of screaming, yelling, and hollering. And so if you are very mindful and intentional about the atmosphere that you set and providing that lap, and this is for the men or the women, because the men can provide a lap as well. They can provide that safe place that she feels safe coming to and saying, babe, this is what happened. This is what I've done. This is, you know, what I need. And she can feel safe with that. So we have to make sure that we're providing that for each other. But the biggest thing I want you to leave with is knowing that the Delilahs in the world that will provide that lap that we're not providing, all they are setups, because as soon as Delilah gets hold of the man, Delilah is being used by the devil. So as soon as she gets him right there, then that's when the devil comes in, and all the devil has to do now is devour him. She's already opened the door, and now she's made it easy for the enemy to devour. So then the marriage begins to fall apart, or, you know, it's that coworker that is just a little too friendly, or, you know, he starts work where he never was late coming home from work. Now he's late coming home. And it may start out where he really just feels like, well, she's listening. She's just a friend. It's just an ear, but he doesn't realize that's the devil because we didn't provide that space. And we didn't hear that whisper. Yeah. So that when you're laying in the lap, I can tell you this is what I need. That's a whisper. When he's laying in my lap, he can say, babe, this is what I need. That's a whisper. And like he said, it's not the literal lap all the time. It's just a place, a safe place for us to talk.
Yeah, because there's been times I've come to you and said, babe, I don't need you to fix it.
Yes, you have.
I don't, you know,
I'm
need
a
you to try.
fixer.
She's a fixer. I don't want you to try to give me your resolve. I just need to let you know what's going on. And that's my whisper. And then here's the other thing. And she really was about to go there, and I was hoping she was going to be careful that the fact that you don't allow the lap to happen, that he's going to take his whisper somewhere else. such
And there's
as
always somebody else
there's
waiting to hear
always
his
somebody
whisper.
else to hear his whisper. You know what I'm saying? So we don't want to do that. Okay, you don't want him to take his whisper somewhere else. So check this out. I was just thinking about two things real quick. Check this out. So the whisper literally is the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The scream is the argument.
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
glad we was right there. Yeah. It's right there. So a lot of times.
I thought you knew that.
Yeah. So a lot of times, what we have to do is we have to engage in the whisper.
Absolutely, all the time.
We have to engage in the whisper, not allowing it to come to the screen.
Yeah.
And I think that if we can do that, we can make our marriages better.
Any relationship.
And here's the thing: we're working on it.
Yeah,
you know, we're not perfect. We're not there. We're not 100. You know, we're about 99. You know, maybe 95. You know, we still have things to work on. But you know what? Because we're short in that, that gives us something to strive to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And 32 plus years of marriage, we're still making mistakes. We're still adjusting. We're still doing all the things that's necessary. And so I just want to encourage all of you, as you listen, as you've gone over this, if you hopefully it's inspired you, it's encouraged you, it made you laugh a little bit about the onion story and different things. But most of all, we just want you to understand Love Jones is real, and you can have the same Love Jones that we have. Here's the second thing too. Babe, I really think that we need to talk about the Queen for the King.
Okay. We'll do that next.
That was a good lesson.
Good.
I'm telling you, when she put that together, she had people outside the room wanting to hear that lesson. And I think we need to talk about that.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
All right. Well, I'm going to have my wife close this out. And as we just want to engage, subscribe to our channel. And subscribe on Facebook. We're going to be on Facebook. We're going to be on YouTube. So we want you to subscribe and put some likes on our Facebook page. Put comments if it inspired you. Put comments on the YouTube page as well. So if this really, really, really inspired you, it enlightened you, you got something out of it, we want to see your comments. Okay? So just take us out, babe. Whatever you want to say.
I just want you to be encouraged and remember to have a Love Jones. A Love Jones is what works in this world, because that means that you're loving, and you're loving with a passion, and you're loving with an empathy, but most of all, you're loving with an understanding. God bless you. We'll see you next time. Hi everybody, thank you for watching this episode. We want to see your likes and your comments on this video. Also, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything we've got going on or any of our next episodes. So we'll see you next time on Love Jones.